Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Feby Triayuni. My student ID number is 202101060022. And now I'm gonna explain about the translation. And the translation, there is 6 experts that define the definition of translation. The first translation theory is defined by Catford. Catford designed translation as replacement textual material in one language or such language by equivalent textual material in another language or the target language. It means replacement that the translation should be replace anything in the textual material, and the textual material can be word, phrases, sentences, and grammatical structure. The second theory is from Newmark. According to Newmark, translation is rendering the meaning of a text into another language in the way that the author intended the text. The translation definition, according to Newmark, means that the message transferred to the language should be equal to the message in source language. And Newmark also suggests that the translation should be following the rules. There are 4 rules about while translating by Newmark that are: the first is semantic translation and communicative translation. The second is the message in source language should be similar to the target language. The third is translation should be make clear meaning from source language. And the last is translation should be informative, not expressive. And the third theory is from Nida and Tabor. Nida and Tabor define translation as rewriting the message contained in the source language into the target language to find similarities. And the fourth theory of translation is from Larson. Larson states that the translation is transferring of the meaning of source language into the receptor language by semantic structure. It means that even though the form of source text is changing, but the meaning of the text is still the same. The fifth theory of translation is from Brislin. Brislin states that the translation is a remote strategy of ideas and thought from source language into another language in written text or oral form. The last theory of translation is from Wills. Wills states that the translation is a transfer process which aims information from source text into the target text, which requires semantically, pragmatically, and analytical process. Next, I'm gonna explain about the kind of translation. There are 2 experts that define a kind of translation. The first is from Rowan Jacobson. Rowan Jacobson divides kinds of translation to be 3 parts. The first is interlingual translation. Interlingual translation is translating the message from different language. And the second is intralingual translation. Intralingual translation is translating the language in the same language that depend on the translation interpretation. And the last is intersemiotic translation. Intersemiotic translation is translating the the source language into another sign of system, for the example like novel into the movie. And the second is from Savory. Savory divided the translation into 4 parts. The first is perfect translation. Perfect translation usually you can see in public area. Perfect translation is translating the meaning of the source language into the target language. And the second is adequate translation. Adequate translation is just for fun reading, so the translator is free to paraphrase and delete the difficult word in order to make the readers easy to catch the information. And The third is composite translation. Composite translation is a serious literature. So the translating should be transform well the meaning, the style, and the message of the language into the another language. And the last is for research and technical translation. This translation focus on science and technical part. So, for the example, is translating the book or an article from one language into another language. That's all from me. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.